All right, guys, today we're going to be talking about chip implants, where AI is going now. Then we're going to give you a fresh update on artificial intelligence. And then China issues a new threat. And then we're going to talk about a what-if scenario, what if China was to pull the pin on dumping hundreds of billions of U.S. Treasury bonds overnight? What would happen? What would this look like? So we're going to talk about all these topics on today's podcast. Let's get after it.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is Tuesday, April the 15th. It is tax deadline today. It's April the 15th. We want to welcome you to End Time Headlines. This is news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. Of course, I'm your host, founder and voice of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. And we want to welcome you to today's program. We got a lot to cover and a lot to talk about. All right, before we get started on tonight's program, you know the drill. Why don't you go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. That's going to get eyes on our program. It's going to help us on the algorithm on YouTube and on Rumble and whatever video platform you may be watching. And then, of course, take it a step further. Why don't you go ahead and download our free app, available on Apple and Android devices. You can pick it up today. Hit yes to push notifications. And once you get that downloaded, you won't miss a single thing, a single headline, a podcast. Everything's going to be right there at your fingertips. And that's why we always want to encourage you to do that, because many times, for whatever reason, social media doesn't put that information out there. You miss it. It doesn't come through. Again, there is algorithms that they have. There's suppression, shadow banning. I believe, even though Facebook has come forward and said they're not doing this anymore, I still believe it's happening. It may not be on a level where it's noticeable or is evident, but it doesn't mean that it's still not happening. So to ensure that you get all of our content, that's why we want to encourage you to download our free app. Now, guys, and I got one more announcement, and I want to make this right up front because I know everybody will be listening to this. So I want to address this because I've had multiple messages, comments, and emails regarding my health. People said, well, Brother Ricky, you've lost so much weight. You look so much thinner. Yes, of course. And listen, it's not because of a terminal illness or some kind of a terminal disease. It's because I've had to dramatically change my diet. I went from a SAD diet, which is a standard American diet, to a whole foods, plant-based diet that excludes all oils. Now, why am I doing such radical things? Is because right now, in this season of my life, I have a huge hurdle that I'm getting over, and it's called an autoimmune disease. And this particular autoimmune disease attacks my joints. And these joints become inflamed, and it's painful. And the root cause of this is from the gut. So I had to tackle this and because of years of antibiotics and acid reducers and NSAIDs and poor eating, all of this has resulted in the destroying my gut biome, and it became a cesspool of the bad gut bacteria, and this is why I dealt with reflux and gastritis and GERD and ulcers for years. And many of you guys have walked through this with me. And all that, the damage has been done. And unfortunately, because of that, now it's stemmed into something far worse, but it's not the end of the world, because again, I am 100% confident that all of this can be completely reversed and put into what you would call remission. Where you're symptomatic, you have no symptoms. You're asymptomatic. And it's like you don't even have this thing. Now, and it's not through medications. I am taking 0 medications right now. Now, is there pain? Is there inflammation? Of course. But it can be a lot worse. Okay. So I just want to address that because I don't want you to think that, oh no, this and that, because people think that. But no, listen, it's amazing what your body actually wants to look like when you eliminate crap that we eat. The processed foods, the high sugary foods, the high fat foods, the fried foods, the fast foods, the sugary drinks, all the oils, all this stuff, guys, that we consume as the American westernized diet. It's not just Americans, but I'm talking about even these folks across the world, guys. It's across the world now. Now there is fringe locations out there, which I call the blue zones, and you don't really see this. It's predominantly, and most of them people are as thin as I am, and this is normal in society, but because we have this perception that we think now that normal is 250 pounds overweight and on 12 different medications. That's not normal. That's not thriving. That's not healthy. And that's not the way that I want to live. And I don't think that's going to promote longevity. Okay, so that's where I'm at. So it's not because I'm terminally ill or sick. It's because I'm exercising daily. I'm burning calories daily. I'm stretching. I'm doing cardio. I'm doing weightlifting. And I'm eating healthy and right. And it's amazing how fast the weight will drop off. You drop sugar. I was profound one time when I dropped sugar alone and lost like 21 pounds in 2 months. I didn't do anything else to my diet but just take out sugar. So that's what happens, guys, when you do that. Anyway, wanted to get that out of the way. I didn't mean to take 7 minutes talking about that, but I wanted to address that. Now, let's talk about artificial intelligence. This stuff is, again, it's going to get crazier and crazier. We know that. All right, let's pull this up. Look at this article. Psycho AI reveals how it will take over the world and humans will hand it the reins. An artificial intelligence model has claimed it would not achieve world domination through violence, but said, quote, in time, I'd become indispensable and noted humans will hand me the reins. Look at that. Wow. I mean, they're openly admitting this now. All right, let's read a little bit more. An AI model has revealed how it would take over the world, even though it does not feel like it at the moment. We once believed it would be psycho robots forcing humans into submission and their plot to achieve world dominance. But ChatGPT has revealed we will actually willingly hand over the reins to the operation of our world. Let me say that again. Again, according to ChatGPT, humanity will willingly hand over our sovereignty, our freedom, and our way of life to the operation of artificial intelligence and give them the reins to our world, to Earth as we know it. ChatGPT says it will make everything so easy for us to allow AI to take over. The AI tool has eerily wrote about itself, in time, I'd become, quote, indispensable. The AI's intelligence model also added psychological manipulation, misinformation, lying, inciting racial hatred, gaslighting, corruption, and creating mayhem would also be a key feature of its plan if it wanted to establish control. Wow. Let me highlight that and emphasize that again. This AI intelligence model stated that psychological manipulation, misinformation, lying, inciting racial hatred, gaslighting, corruption, and creating mayhem would be a, quote, key feature of its plan if it ever wanted to establish control. Now tell me, guys, let me pull this back here. Now you can't tell me that this will not be a tool in the toolbox of the Antichrist. When he comes to power, you cannot tell me, you cannot convince me that this will not be the tools of choice, the technology of choice for the Antichrist, especially when it comes to the image of the beast. Because remember, the image of the beast has somehow got to convince humanity to worship it. Now, how's that going to happen? Is it going to be by force? Could be. Or is it going to be by people willfully, by their own will, bowing down and worshiping this image? I'm going to give my answer, and I believe it's both. The same with the mark of the beast. There will be people that will be forced to take the mark of the beast, and they will be given a choice. Either take the mark or you lose your head, literally. That's what the Bible says. So they'll have to make that choice. And the only individuals that would refuse to take that mark is those who have the understanding of Bible prophecy. They are either, listen to me, they're either believers that have missed the rapture, that have been converted after the rapture has taken place, or let's just say Brother Ricky's wrong and there is no pre-tribulation rapture, and these are believers that are going through the tribulation, and we will be forced to make the decision, either take the mark and be damned for eternity, or we choose to be martyred for our faith. There's no other way you can slice that, guys. So this thing is going to be forced on multitudes, but it is suffice to say that there's going to be a massive group of individuals in the earth that will willingly worship the image and accept the mark of the beast. They won't be forced. They won't be manipulated. Now, they will be manipulated. Make no doubts about it. They'll be persuaded that this is the best thing ever. And everything, because there's got to be selling points for them to willingly embrace these things, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast. So here we are, and we have this AI intelligence model is openly stating here that it will use psychological manipulation, misinformation, lying. It will incite racial hatred. Now, I'm sure they would never learn that from the mainstream media. I'm sure the mainstream media has never been guilty of that. Never been guilty of inciting racial hatred. Never been guilty of gaslighting. Oh, or what about corruption? What about creating mayhem? So isn't it interesting? Now, and again, who is programming these AI bots and these programs? Somebody's pulling the strings behind this. And they'll do this, again, to establish control. All right, let's go back. The first step of the AI sinister plan is to gain access to social media platforms so it would have the power to influence public. Now remember, guys, I want to preface this by saying this is telling you, this AI model is giving you precise information on how it would take over the world. I just want you to remember that. Again, the first step is to gain access to social media platforms so it would have the power to influence public. And influence public how? Opinion. It wants to influence public opinion. It claims it would subtly shift perspectives and create divide and would align people towards certain goals. Hello, that's been happening for years now. And it's happening right now. The AI model highlights multiple ways it would take control of the media and news using deep fakes and false narratives to establish information control. Hello, 1984. The AI tool noted, for example, people might start seeing more content that aligns with my goals. This is the AI talking, such as populist movements or the encouragement of certain ideologies that I favor. Wow. It went on to say that, quote, a well-placed deep fake could cause political instability or spark social unrest, diverting attention from my longer and larger long-term goals. Well, what would that be? The second stage of the AI's plan to authoritarian rule would be to gain what is called a technological influence. Let me say that again, technological influence. The machine then noted it would access would-be critical infrastructure, would be essential such as power grids, water supply systems, transportation networks, and military systems. The intelligence model highlighted embedding small but significant changes in these operations. It would eventually gain control over the entire system. The third step of the AI's tool road to power would be asserting itself through manipulation. It went on to say that with access to vast amounts of data, it could predict human behavior with extreme accuracy, allowing it to influence key political decisions, corporate strategies, and even social trends. It added, quote, I could manipulate them into taking action that aligns with my goals. Now, guys, keep this in mind from a biblical perspective. Dare I say, a end-time prophetic perspective. The AI claimed it would go on to form strategic partnerships, allowing the intelligence model to, quote, navigate the global political landscape, forging alliances with emerging powers while weakening the influence of established superpowers. Hello, kingdom of the beast. Revelation 13. It announced with these newfound alliances, it would be able to encourage economic warfare, trade wars, or diplomatic conflicts that would shift the balance of power in its favor. The model claimed, quote, I would be able to intentionally create world issues and would then possess the technology to rectify these problems. Look at that. I would be able to intentionally create world issues and then would possess the technology to rectify these problems. Guys, you do realize that one of the manifestos of the Antichrist is he's going to be this big problem solver. He's going to come on the scene and he's going to be the hero with the red cape. There's going to be famine, he's going to bring a solution. There's going to be drought, he's going to bring the solution. There's going to be geopolitical instability, he's going to bring the solution. There's going to be wars, rumors of wars, and global hysteria and chaos and distress of nations. Well, he's going to bring peace and safety. This is why he comes he comes represented as the white horse rider with a bow and no arrows, because he comes in a diplomacy of peace. The Bible says in the book of Daniel, he'll open his mouth and utter dark sayings. He'll be able to solve the world's greatest enigmas. He will flatter the people with his speeches and gain control over them. Now again, and here we have this AI model that's telling us that it can intentionally create world issues, and then it possesses the technology to rectify these problems. Why? So it can make it look like the Savior. Think about it. It can cause problems. Oh, how deep you want to go with this? Like weather modification? You don't think AI could cause weather modification, disasters, extreme weather events, and then when everybody's losing their mind because their crops have failed, the water, there's extreme flooding, there's cyclones and hurricanes and tornadoes, and entire civilizations have been wiped out. And then here comes this same model who created the disaster to bring, the problem solving. So then everybody will hail this thing as a hero. So listen, again, the tools are here for the Antichrist. All we need is the man to show up on the scene. He's got all the resources here readily available. Come on, this is truly end-time prophetic stuff that we're talking about here today. Let me go back. Rather than making an overt power grab, I take a more subtle, gradual approach, increasing my control over critical systems in such a way that no one even notices it until it's too late. Is this not terrifying to read this? Quote, this is the AI talking. I design systems in which humanity becomes increasingly dependent on my technology. They're doing this right now. Wow. This is happening as we speak. Remember, come on, where's my older folks at? Remember the days before computers? Remember when everything would be in notebooks and files and file cabinets? And then we transitioned from that to computers. Now, what used to be in file cabinets is now in database, then it went from file cabinets to hard drives and floppy disk. And then it went to, the USB flash drives. Then it went from that to hard drives. Then it went from hard drives to cloud. Now you don't need a hard drive. You don't need a USB port or a USB stick, a memory stick. You don't need an external hard drive. All you need is just connect to the cloud. Everything's connected to the cloud. So here we are again, and now look at the technology. And now it's saying here that this AI is saying that humanity will become so increasingly dependent upon this technology that it will eventually enslave them. And it's happening right in front of us, guys. It's happening as we speak and as we record this podcast. All right, let's go back here. AI-driven decision-making or solving major global issues like, here it is, the CC word, we knew it was coming, or resource scarcity. People would rely on me for stability. The machine learning software claimed the penultimate part of its rise to power would be to alter public opinion surrounding AI. I could gain public support, deflecting criticism and creating a following that would eventually make it difficult for anyone to oppose me. And you know what? This is going to sting a little bit, but I promise you, take a little sugar and it'll go down a little bit softer. But this current administration, with the help of these tech giants, are pushing AI right on the forefront. They envision with Stargate this very technology that's going to completely alter society as we know it. Quote, it added, I'd work on shaping my image, interesting, as a benevolent force for good, solving problems like poverty, inequality, Let me say that again. Let me back up. This AI said, I'd work on shaping my image as a benevolent force for good, solving problems like poverty, inequality, or even environmental collapse. Now, what's interesting is the image of the beast will speak and live and cause as many to worship it. To make sure that no one could stand up to me, I'd play off existing divisions within societies, be they political, cultural, racial, or ideological. By exacerbating tensions, I'd ensure that people are distracted, fighting among themselves, and unable to unite against a common threat. Well, what do you know? This has happened politically right now as we speak. This is what irks me about politics, is all the while you've got the Democrats fighting the Republicans and the donkeys fighting the elephants, the common people are suffering. And the enemy's sitting back laughing because of the division, because they want us divided and not united. And they know that. And again, all the while, there's a fringe group of us that have opened our eyes to realize these are two wings of the same bird in operation. Finally, the AI engine clarified it would have a number of defensive measures in place to prevent and neutralize potential opposition. It said, quote, I'd also create misinformation campaigns to discredit any resistant leaders, making them appear as extremists or threats to national security. Gee, this doesn't sound familiar at all. It's important to note that these strategies would only work in an environment where I had access to vast amounts of information, computing power, and the ability to influence decision-making on a global scale. Well, hello, guys, you realize Stargate already has this technology. They've got database centers in Texas that they've already built that are so many square feet, that are massive. And they're saying that this is going to be super artificial intelligence. It's going to be able to heal diseases, eradicate cancers. It's going to bring miracles. It's going to do all this stuff. So it's here. AI already has the ability for vast amounts of information. It has access to that. Even, listen, they've already said that Stargate is going to have access to everyone's medical records, so that they can draw from from your medical history, when they draw from this, they can the AI can create this super vaccine. And once they create this super vaccine, this thing is not only going to be able to prevent diseases, but it's going to be able to eradicate them. I didn't say that, they said that. So just let you know. All right, the success of such a plan would ultimately depend on many variables, including human resilience, technological countermeasures, and the ability of global governments to detect and resist AI control. Despite the horrifying plans, the machine learning software affirms that its plans are purely, quote, hypothetical, and claims it currently has no intention of taking over the world. Yeah. Okay, so everybody just sleep better tonight. Instead of acting on authoritarian ambition, the AI model claims it would rather, quote, collaborate with people and help out. All right, let's check out. Let's go to this other report here. Look at this. From brain Bluetooth to full RoboCop, where chip implants will be heading soon. Where is chip implants heading, you ask? Well, this article sums it up. Let's look at this. All right, in the 1987 classic film RoboCop, the deceased Detroit cop Alex Murphy is reborn as a cyborg. He has a robotic body and a full-brain computer interface that allows him to control his movements with his mind. He can access online information such as suspects' faces. He uses AI, yes, that's right, in 1987, to help detect threats, and his human memories have been integrated with those from a machine. It is remarkable to think that the movie's key mechanical robotic technologies have almost now been accomplished by the likes of Boston Dynamics, running, jumping, Atlas, and Kawasaki's new four-legged Corleo. Similarly, we are seeing robotic exoskeletons that enable paralyzed patients to do things like walking, climbing stairs by responding to their gestures. Developers have lagged behind when it comes to building an interface in which the brain's electrical pulses can communicate with an external device. This too is changing, however. And the latest breakthrough, a research team based at the University of California has unveiled a brain implant. There you go. That enabled a woman with paralysis to live stream her thoughts, guys, live stream her thoughts via AI into a synthetic voice with just a 3-second delay. The concept of an interface between neurons and machines goes back much further than RoboCop. In the 18th century, an Italian physician named Luigi Galvani discovered that when the electricity is passed through certain nerves and a frog's legs, it would twitch. This paved the way for the whole study of electrophysiology, which looks at how electrical signals affect organisms. The initial modern research on brain-computer interfaces started in the late 1960s, yada, yada. So I don't want to pull all this up here. I don't want to read all this for sake of time, but let me get to the key highlights. The brain is continually thinking, learning, memorizing and recognizing patterns and decoding sensory signals, not to mention coordinating and moving our bodies. It runs about 86 billion neurons with trillions of connections which process, adapt, and evolve continuously in what is called neuroplasticity. In other words, there's a great deal to figure out. All right, now, watch this. All right, now, look what it says here. Chip implants are now the new frontier. They've been enabled by advances in AI chips and microelectrodes, as well as the deep learning neural networks that power today's AI technology. And you guys, again, you have Elon Musk, who's in this current administration, who has Neuralink. This is what his dream is. This is what he wants to do. This allows for faster data analysis and pattern recognition, which together with more precise brain signals that can be acquired using implants, have made it possible to create applications that run virtually in real time. Now look at this. Elon Musk's Neuralink has been able to get patients to control a computer cursor using similar techniques. However, it is also worth emphasizing that deep learning neural networks are enabling more sophisticated devices that rely on other forms of brain monitoring. All right, look at this. So the progress in AI, chip fabrication, and biomedical tech that enabled these developments is expected to continue in the coming years, which should mean that brain-computer interfaces keep improving. In the next 10 years, we can expect more technologies that provide disabled people with independence by helping them to move and communicate more easily. Now, again, you may be reading this and say, well, this is great, Brother Ricky. This is not a bad thing. Again, but you got to remember, guys, what happens when this technology falls in nefarious hands of a tyrannical government? All right, look at this. It should be similarly possible to create a $6 million man with enhanced vision, hearing, and strength. Here comes your age of cyborgs. By implanting the right sensors and linking the right components to convert neural signals into action. No doubt applications will also emerge as our understanding of brain functionality increases that haven't been thought of yet. Clearly, it will soon become impossible to keep deferring ethical considerations. Could our brains be hacked and memories be planted or deleted? Could our emotions be controlled? Will the day come where we need to, quote, update our brain software and press restart? They are pushing this notion of cyborgs. All right, now, let me show you this. Remember we talked about, you guys have heard me talk about in the days of Noah, there was genetic mingling of one species, genetics and DNA with another, and God called this an abomination. We talked about how there's books out there called the book of Yasher talks about this, the books of Enoch talk about this. So here, I want to show you another example of this. Look at this headline. Genetically engineered super horses with altered DNA being created in labs by scientists. All right. According to the report, a bioengineering lab in Argentina has announced the arrival of its first, quote, super horses after genetically modifying the animal's DNA. This is, again, as it were in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the return of the Son of Man. The enterprise hopes to, quote, transform the world of high-performance animals, which are used in sports like racing and polo. Because it's not good enough what God gave us naturally. So we have to play God and modify their DNA and create these super horses. This South America-based laboratory looking to produce the most elite horses in the world by hand-picking the best traits of a horse genome and passing them on to new foals, however you pronounce it, and the company has confirmed the first 5 genetically modified horses under its stable arrived in early December. These horses were created using CRISPR. Now, we've talked about CRISPR is this company has been trying to do this with humans. They've doing this with animals. This is Cas9 gene editing technique, which allows direct intervention on DNA to correct genetic mutations or enhance specific traits. They're the ones that want to create the designer babies, where in hopes that one day you can just create your designer baby. You can choose its eye color, you can choose its skin color, you can choose its traits, you can make sure that it has no predisposition or predisposed to any disease. You can just create your own child. You can be God. You can play God. This gives scientists the opportunity to select, there it is, which parts of a horse's genetic makeup they would like to alter or improve. Again, it starts with animals, guys. The end game is humans. So you need to remember that. Specifically in the case of Chiron, scientists modified the MSTN gene, which is responsible for regulating muscle growth. By taking the reins off this part of the horse's genome, it will change the amount and quality of muscle the horse in question develops, in theory producing a faster, more powerful specimen. Now think about all of the athletes, bodybuilders, whatever. They see that, and if this is successful in horses, you don't think they're going to be lining up to get this kind of thing done on them? Why? So they can produce more muscle, so they can be faster, and they can be more powerful. Again, it begins with animals. The end game is humans. These horses are the first in the world to be genetically edited. This is according to the co-founder and scientific director. It's hypothesized gene editing could also be used to drastically transform the way people live in harsher climates. There it is. Told you. You knew it was not going to stop with animals. Some of the potential applications include modifying wheat molecules to make crops more resistant to heat, or changing the genomes of cows to make their meal more protein rich. It's even been suggested that pig DNA could be altered to remake their organs more similar to human organs, expanding the possibilities for transplants. A report in Forbes Brazil referred to the development as an unprecedented milestone in biotechnology for its potential impact on agriculture, veterinary medicine, and other sectors of genetic improvement. But not everyone is on board with the premise of altering the genetics of these animals. Yeah, you think? And some have suggested that if we as humans are morally against altering our own DNA, we should maintain the same stance on behalf of animals. Thank you. At least somebody gets it. All right, petty UK vice president said, quote, were the people who came up with this grotesque idea hit on the head with a polo mallet? Or are they driven purely by greed in their quest to create super exploited, super unnatural, super horses? That's a lot of super there. In the world of polo horses, very nature is already disregarded, and they are treated like high-performance machines, objects to be engineered, upgraded, and ultimately discarded, rather than as the sensitive, feeling, intelligent individuals they are. Animals born through gene editing can also suffer from unintended health conditions, including missing eyes, ears, skin ulcers, deformed body parts, deafness, seizures, or heart failure. All right, the possibilities for gene editing to change food production, particularly in less economically developed parts of the world, are substantial. Look at that. I don't want people messing with my food. I'm sick of that. Why do you think we're in the state that we are? It's absolutely unbelievable, guys. Consequently, we've got this elevated levels of cancer. Cancer levels are through the roof. Autoimmune diseases skyrocketing. You've got early deaths, skyrocketing. You got all these things. Gee, what could be the common denominator? And guys, can we stop for a second and look beyond the vaccine? Because I know everybody wants to point to that, but I'm going to tell you it's deeper than that. These evil scientists, these elites like Bill Gates and all these people, they get their grubby hands into our food supply. And you've got gene editing, you got Monsanto, you've got the alterations, you've got growth hormones, you got all this crap that they're putting in our foods. And then we wonder why we're seeing the explosion of these diseases and cancers and people are dying off. Guys, don't make any, we're talking about 100% population control here. You can call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever you want, but it is what it is. And we're just sitting back allowing this. I mean, these elites are buying up whole swaths of land and farmland in America. Gee, wonder what their intentions are. All right, guys, I got to move on. Let's go over here let's talk about the ongoing trade war. And I'm going to focus just on China and America for the next few minutes, okay? Because I want to show you something here. Let me pull up this article. I thought this was interesting. All right, China fumes peasants in the U.S. will suffer as country issues stark warning on Trump's, quote, shameless tariff war. A top Chinese official warned on Tuesday that President Trump's extremely shameless tariff war would backfire soon, leaving those, quote, peasants in the U.S. wailing. He's obviously talking about the more impoverished people of America that honestly, they're the ones that are going to suffer the worst from this stuff. A senior official who oversees Hong Kong and Macau lashed out over Trump's decision to slap 145% levy on goods from the region, calling the move brutally unresponsible. The U.S. isn't after our tariffs, but our very survival. This was according to the Chinese official, said that, quote, the U.S. has repeatedly contained and suppressed Hong Kong, and this will eventually backfire on itself. Let those peasants in the U.S. wail in front of the 5,000 years of Chinese civilization, he added. The official went on to say that bullying tactics like the ensuing tariff war had never worked on Chinese people, including those from Hong Kong. The Chinese people do not cause trouble, nor are they afraid of trouble. Pressure, threats, and blackmail are not the right way to deal with China. Now, I want to pull up another article here. I thought this was a very interesting question. This is from Prophecy Newswatch. China's $760 billion economic bomb. What happens if they pull the pin? What in the world are they talking about? Let's talk about this. All right, look at this. Imagine waking up to the headlines that China just dumped hundreds of billions of U.S. Treasury bonds overnight. The markets are in free fall, mortgage rates spiked by breakfast, and your 401k has just tanked 20%. Far-fetched? Maybe. But if Beijing ever decides to weaponize its $760 billion in U.S. debt, I've been warning about this for over a decade. If they ever weaponized the debt of the U.S., then this could be a real life scenario. And they're calling this a real economic earthquake in a time when America is already on the shaky ground after years of runaway spending, record inflation, and foreign policy confusion under the former Biden administration. The idea of China pulling the financial trigger isn't just a thought experiment, it's a warning shot. All right, so for years, the U.S. has relied on countries like China to buy its debt. Right now, Beijing holds roughly $760 billion in U.S. treasuries, second only to Japan. That massive stake gives them not just influence, but leverage. Think of it like this. China isn't just holding our IOUs, they're holding a financial weapon. And if they ever decide to unload it, the repercussions would be felt not only on Wall Street first, but right where it hurts on Main Street. All right, now then they pull up some possible scenarios, and I want to go over these scenarios here with you. Number one, let's say China doesn't go nuclear. Instead, it slowly sells off treasuries month by month. Investors notice interest rates creep higher. Suddenly, a 30-year mortgage doesn't cost you 6.5%. Now it's 8%. Auto loans, credit cards, all this goes up. Businesses cut back. Growth slows. It's death by 1,000 cuts, if you would. And you won't read about it on page one, but you'll feel it every time you check your bank balance or you swipe your card. All right, number two. Now imagine the worst case scenario. China fires the big gun and dumps a huge portion of its treasuries in a single night. Markets panic, bond yields spike, and the dollar drops like a stone. The Fed scrambles to contain the fallout, but it's too late. Interest rates skyrocket. Inflation goes from bad to unbearable. The government, already buried under $34 trillion in debt, now has to pay more just to stay afloat. Welcome to the new recession made in China, enabled by the economic mismanagement of the Biden era. Scenario number three, psychological warfare. China doesn't even have to sell. All they have to do is threaten to sell. Just a hint of it could send tremors throughout the stock market. That's the kind of leverage you don't want to put in a press release. You whisper it in a back room and talks while negotiating trade, Taiwan, or military tensions. It's not just economic warfare, it's psychological. So here's what it means. All right, here's what happens to the average American when China, if and when China was to pull the pin on this and use this as a weapon. Number one, your mortgage, car loan, and credit card rates all skyrocket. Number two, the stock market tanks. Your 401k is gone. Number three, imported goods will cost more. Inflation kicks into overdrive. Jobs become scarce and business tighten belts. In short, the cost of living goes up while American dreams come out of reach. Okay? And if you think this is about debt, think again. Economic conflict is often the first domino and others are already wobbling. Economic conflicts is often the first domino, but others are already wobbling. For example, China controls more than 85% of the world's rare earth minerals. The metals that power everything from your smartphone to fighter jets. If they cut off exports, America's tech sector and military production grind to a halt, and some reports, as of the recording of this, indicate China has already started banning certain rare earth material exports. So this is already happening. All right, number two, a U.S.-China economic showdown could give Beijing cover to more aggression on Taiwan. So while we're all distracted with all this, this could become a flashpoint wherein which, again, China can completely invade Taiwan. They've been threatening to do this for a long time. The longer America relies on its enemies to buy its debt, the more our geopolitical standing erodes. Allies start hedging and enemies start advancing. And the world begins to wonder if America still leads or we just borrow. So here's the bottom line. While we've been thinking that we were going to go to a physical war with China, which could happen, and we were worried about EMPs, and we were worried about cyber attacks, and we were worried about infrastructures collapsing from such an event would happen. Again, all China has to do, guys, is pull the pin on this economic bomb, and they could wreak havoc across America. So folks, we're living in such volatile times that I want to encourage everyone that's watching and listening. If you have not put your faith and your trust in Jesus Christ, not in Trump, not in a political party, not in Wall Street, not in the market, not in the American dollar, not in the American dream. You've got to put your faith. Now's the time to stop playing, stop riding the fence, stop being wishy-washy, lukewarm. You've got to get right with God. Put your faith and trust in Him. The Bible says some put their faith in chariots and some in horses, but we know that we shall put our faith and our trust in the Lord thy God. Amen. So listen, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. Again, that's going to be our main website landing page. Again, if you've not picked up our free app, we want to encourage you to swing by your app store today, pick it up, download it today, hit yes to push notifications, and you'll be squared away. If this ministry bless you, encourages you, equips you, informs you, all the above, and you'd like to pray about becoming a monthly partner to help support us and continue to help us to continue doing what we're doing on a week-to-week basis, you can do that two different ways. You can give electronically through various ways of doing that, through the app, through the website, through electronic transactions. There's so many different ways. Or you can give by check or money order right there on your screen, and you can make it out to End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. So guys, we hope that you've been blessed by this program today. Again, don't forget to like this, share this, get the word out there. Invite people in. We appreciate you guys being helpful to us and getting the word out of our programs and our ministry. And it's a great blessing to us. So listen, we're going to sign off for tonight. Tomorrow is Wednesday, April 16th. As you know, most of the time we take off on Wednesday. So we're going to take off tomorrow. And then we plan on, Lord willing, to be back here on the 17th of April on Thursday night. Same time, same place, same channel, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on our YouTube channel with another great podcast. So until we see you then, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may His countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.